Hi there YouTube, this is Johnaget with the Walk-Ons, and I'm back doing another video. One of my viewers requested a maintenance video of the high pressure regulator in the Fusion FX, so that's what we're going to do today. In order to do this, you're going to need a 3/8 Allen wrench, a 1/4 inch Allen wrench, and a 7/32 Allen wrench. You're going to need a towel, microfiber cloth, something to clean your parts with. You are also going to need a 7/16 wrench, and a grease of some kind. Today we're going to use the Tech T gun salve. It was recommended to me by a teammate, so I've been using that lately. So let's get started. First thing to do is make sure your marker is degassed, de-aired, that way it's safe to work on. Some regulators hold air for a while after using them, so if you're not making sure that that's degassed, or it could be under pressure when you're trying to take it apart, and that's not safe. So once you're sure that your gun is degassed and safe to work on, you're going to start by taking the macro line off. In order to do that, you just compress the fitting on the 90-degree elbow here, and then you can pull the macro line out just like that. Move that aside, and then we can take the actual regulator off. If you can't turn your regulator off by hand because it's really been wrenched on there, then you can take the 1/4 inch Allen wrench and you can stick it right here in the bottom of the regulator, and you can make it loose like that, and then you can thread it off by hand the rest of the way. So we just take that, thread that off. All right, put that aside for a second. You want to look in here on your marker to make sure that it's clean in there, and then if it's not, you can wipe it out while you have your regulator out. Mine's pretty clean, so we're not going to do anything with that today. So we just put that aside. The next thing we need to do is separate the sections of the regulator. It's made primarily of 2 pieces and then a couple little pieces that go on the inside. In order to do that, you're going to take your largest Allen wrench, the 3/8. You're going to stick it in one side here. It just has to go, kind of halfway into the size of the Allen key. And then you can take your 1/4 inch Allen wrench again and stick it here in the bottom of the regulator to kind of crack it loose, and just well, mine's on there kind of tight. There we go. Once it cracks like that, then you should be able to thread it apart by hand, just like this. Now, be careful not to just kind of rip this off, because you don't want all your little pieces to go falling everywhere, so you just kind of pull it out slowly. And then we have the upper half of the regulator, which we'll clean out in a second. And then there is a spring, a little seat, and then the piston. So you just kind of pull that out nice and straight. Put that aside for a second, and then the seat is this little silver guy. So we'll put that aside too. So now what we have is we have our spring, our piston, and then our little seat. So we'll put those aside. The next thing that you have that you can work on is this other piece on the inside of the bottom portion of the regulator. And in order to take that out, you take your 7/32 Allen wrench, stick that in there, and then you take your 1/4 inch Allen wrench and stick it in here again, just to kind of hold it. And you can, so you should be able to thread this out. There we go, nice and easily. So we'll thread that out like that. All right, and then we'll pull that out. Now inside of this piece, there's an O-ring on the outside. Let's see if I can get you close enough to there. And then there's another O-ring. I don't know if the camera's going to focus on it. There's an O-ring on the inside of it as well. So every once in a while when you do your rebuilds or anything like that, you change that. Put that aside. And then the last thing that we can really do with the regulator, you don't really have to do this often, but if you choose to, you can take the 7/16 wrench, you take the air fitting off, and that's how you remove this black collar. If you don't do that, you won't be able to take the black collar off. So we'll take that off, put that aside, and then you should be able to just kind of pull it off of there, or maybe push it through. There we go, because there's some O-rings kind of holding it in place. So there we go. And then you could clean behind here if it was really gunked up. Mine's actually a little bit dirty, so we'll start cleaning some of these parts right now and put it back together. You don't really need to service your regulator often. I mean, you probably do it once every 10 cases or every couple months even. I mean, it depends on how frequently you play. They don't, I've probably shot 6 cases through this regulator since the last time I serviced it. So it's, you know, you can see it doesn't really get very dirty or anything. There is one more piece in the regulator, and that's the let's see, I'll show you the seat in there that pushes the pushes this other little piece up into the piston when you're trying to increase and decrease your velocity. You don't really need to take that out unless it's, you know, leaking or something like that, but it shouldn't be. And to do that, you would take all the parts out and you would just thread this guy all the way forward until it came out. But that doesn't really need to be done that often. I've never had to do it for any real reason. So then we'll take that, put that there, take a little bit of our grease. I'm just going to put a little bit on the O-rings before we put some of the pieces back on. There we go. The air fittings come with this, they usually have like a seal on them, like a plumber's kind of like, not like a tape, but like a white adhesive on it. Mine's got a little bit left, so I'm going to risk it and kind of put it on without. And if it leaks, I'll take it off and I'll put some plumber's tape on it or something. The other important thing about these guys is if you over tighten these, what's going to happen is the little collar here is not going to spin anymore, so you won't have that flexibility in your macro line. So don't go cranking them down a whole bunch. Just enough to make sure there's not going to be any air coming out. That's it. So like, see, that little tiny bit is just a little bit too much, so I'm going to back it off a little bit. There we go. So you just be mindful of that because you don't want to damage this piece. So we'll put this right here. Our next piece is this little guy here. We're just gonna, same thing, clean it off, look for anything that needs to go. A little bit of grease, and then we can just thread it back in. Now you don't need to make this really tight, you just want it to go back down to the to where it was. So see how it kind of starts to spin the collar? That's perfect. It doesn't need to be any tighter than that. So now we're going to put this aside and we'll do the piston and the seat and the spring. So we'll clean that off just like we did all the other parts. The only time you need to replace the O-rings in these guys is if you started having like velocity issues and you couldn't understand what was going on, why you were having inconsistency or stuff like that. That might be a reason to change out all the O-rings on your regulator. But other than that, there's not too many symptoms other than leaking that you would notice, I believe, from having, you know, real issues in your O-ring. So I take a little bit of grease, I put it on the O-ring. Doesn't need to be caked anywhere else. Maybe just a little bit on the shaft here, just so it's a little slick with the metal on metal contact. Take the spring, put it over there like that, and then the seat goes with the. Let's see here, I'll show you. It's got the little bevel there, or a little raised area. That's the part that guides the spring. So it sits on just like that, nice and flush. Now this piece here does go into an O-ring on the inside, so we're going to put a little grease on there just to help the O-ring. Not a lot, this is super light, it doesn't have to be caked on there. And now what we'll do is we take the piston and we just, nice and straight, you'll feel it kind of hit the O-ring, and then you can kind of push it on there, and now it's kind of in. You'll just be able to feel it, you'll have to take my word for it. I smeared a little of the grease off, so. And then what we're going to do here, with the residual, put it on the big fat O-ring on the bottom. Take the upper portion. Oh, I didn't clean that out yet. Let me grab a swab here. Alright, take a swab, stick it in there to clean it. There we go. Nice and clean. Alright, so now we're going to take this guy on here, stick it on there, and just thread it down. My hand's a little slick, so I'm going to take the Allen key and just kind of tighten it by hand there. There we go. Alright. So that's pretty much all the all there is to do to service the reg and make sure it's in good working order. We'll thread it back on, and then we'll test it out, make sure it's not leaking, and call it a day. So yeah, if you guys have any other videos or anything else you want to see me do, you know, let me know, and I'll do my best to make it happen in my spare time. Just like I did for this user here today. You can also go to our website. We do have a forum at teamwalkons.com. Go to the forum section. You can ask questions there if you have questions or issues, or you want to post something you want to see in a video. That's perfectly fine too. So we'll just gas this up, make sure it's not leaking. Little leak from the macro line, I think. Yeah. There we go. Probably should trim that. That's it. Here, no leaks. We're good to go. So yeah, that's how you take care of it. Subscribe, ask questions, do whatever you got to do. Let me know, and I'll take care of you guys. Thanks. Have a good day.